Hello and welcome. My name is Nate from Video Games Recon, and in this video, part 1 of 2, we're going to discuss my most anticipated games of 2016. If you're watching this video upon release, then Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Or if you're watching this a couple of months later, Happy February or March, I guess? Anywho, I thought instead of looking back at the year gone and give my top games of 2015, which would be difficult to do as I haven't played them all, let's look forward to some of the great upcoming games of 2016. FYI, my favourite game of 2015 was Fallout 4, although not without its problems, it's the game that kept calling me back time and time again. So, this list will be my most anticipated games, the majority of which are confirmed for 2016, and a few that are rumoured and or probable. Also, this list is covering all platforms, including Xbox exclusives and even Nintendo, which I probably won't have access to. But in the interests of parity, I'm sure there are a bunch of Xbox and Nintendo players out there, so I thought I'd imagine this list as if I currently owned both consoles. Keep in mind all dates are subject to change, and with using trailers and copyright being a bitch on YouTube, this video might need to be edited and re-uploaded, so if it disappears for any reason, you know why. Also, if your most anticipated game isn't in this list, instead of going nuts and losing your shit, why not post your top 10 or top 20 list in the comments. Anywho, without any further ado, let's do it to it. 20. Uncharted 4. Now, I'm sure to some people this game is a much bigger deal to them, but for me, I've never really played an Uncharted game properly, and it never really grabbed my attention, as it seemed to me like a new take on Tomb Raider, which is cool and all, seeing as at the time those games had really gone off the boil. But back then I was pretty much done with Tomb Raider, and thus Uncharted never really called to me. That said, I can appreciate that a lot of people like this game, and I respect the game as it's a solid, fun, action-packed, character-driven adventure game that out Tomb Raider's Tomb Raider, hence why it made my list. And probably the last to feature Nate Drake, and possibly the last to be developed by the well-renowned Naughty Dog. And this instalment is likely to see the Uncharted series go out with a bang, at least in the short term that is. 19. Doom 4. What to say about Doom? It looks beautiful, fun, gory and over the top, and is a throwback to a less serious era in first-person shooters that centres more around the fantastical fun of it all as opposed to a more realistic shooter and story. And that's what caught my eye about this game. I'm oversaturated with realistic, supposedly tactical shooters, and am more in the mood for a game that asks the question, is this fun? Not, could this perceivably happen? Whether this game will actually live up to that mantra or not, who knows? But either way, I'm intrigued to find out. Also, its map building functionality looks cool and something that could extend the life of the game should the campaign come off as a little shallow. 18. The Division. Oh, The Division. If you'd have asked me what one of my most anticipated games for the future is back in 2014, I'd have said The Division. But the problem with this game is, the more I hear about it, the less hyped I get. Sure, I'm still interested to see what this game will become, otherwise it wouldn't be on this list, but it's more a case of curiosity now as opposed to hype. As at the moment it sounds more like a realistic version of Destiny, set in New York, featuring a killer virus as opposed to the darkness. Destiny's a fine game and all if you're into that, but we already have that game, we don't need another. I really hope this isn't just going to be a regurgitation of said game, just because it's profitable. Anyway, I've discussed my thoughts on Destiny on this channel before, and I'm not going to open up that can of worms. But it looks like they've seen the success of Destiny and have moved further and further away from what The Division was originally going to be. That said, I'm still hopeful this game will live up to the vision set out in 2014 and be its own thing. But I guess we'll find out come early 2016. 17. Gravity Rush 2. I only just found out about this game recently, as the first title was a PlayStation Vita exclusive, and not owning that hardware I never got the chance to play it, which was a shame, as it looks really cool with a European anime art style and interesting game mechanics based mainly around the control of a gravity-based superpower, hence the name. On top of which, the original game was met with critical acclaim, and there's set to be a re-release of the original game on PS4 prior to the sequel. So I guess we'll all get to see then if this is a franchise worth investing in come 2016. 16. Mirror's Edge 2. Yet another game that had critical success if not commercial. The original Mirror's Edge was given lots of praise for being both progressive and innovative for first-person games, due to its implementation of parkour mechanics. And although it pushed boundaries at the time, one of the criticisms thrown its way was that it felt a little vacuous and linear, being more on rails than a true open world. And now that games like Dying Light exist in a true open world, will Mirror's Edge 2 be able to learn from its initial mistakes and compete with such well implemented free-runner mechanics? Who knows? Roll on 2016. 15. Nioh. From the guys that brought you Ninja Gaiden, we have Nioh. I'm probably murdering the pronunciation, but it roughly translates as Benevolent King. This is an ARPG that has been in development hell for over 10 years, being initially announced way back in 2004. Here's hoping with the countless iterations it's likely gone through that they've finally come up with a winner, as this game looks right up my street, as at its heart it reminds me of an Onimusha game. And man, I've been pining for an Onimusha game for a while now. On top of which it appears to have light Dark Souls or Bloodborne-esque features, which is perfect for someone like me who's a little intimidated by a full-on experience like Dark Souls, but could probably dip my toe into a game like this. Nioh completely blindsided me out of nowhere at PSX, and although I don't know a huge amount about it, I'm actually quite excited to see more. 14. Dreams. Well, this one's a difficult game to explain. So hard in fact that Media Molecule, the creators of Little Big Planet, have been struggling themselves to explain it. So here goes nothing. Think a Little Big Planet in 3D, but with even more focus on creative tools, and a more esoteric narrative as if seen through a dreamlike state. No? Not helping you? Yeah, me neither. The problem with Dreams is it comes off more like creative software as opposed to a game, which for the average consumer is going to be a tough sell, so they're really going to need to double down on the game message when talking about it in future. But for someone like me who is a content creator, the possibilities for a simple, intuitive and fun 3D modelling game / software is endless. That said, it's going to be much tougher to pitch this game to the masses. 13. Gears of War 4. Not much to say on this one. If you've had an Xbox, then you've probably played a Gears of War game at some point, if not all of them. But with not being from an Xbox lineage, it's a bit hard to get super hyped for this game. That said, if I owned an Xbox, or if it was coming to PC, I'd probably get quite excited for this game, as it looks bags of fun and the franchise is highly rated by critics and consumers alike, and the sort of game that would be right up my street. And this game looks to follow on from where the series left off and bring the Gears franchise to a new generation of hardware, with a bang. Probably literally. 12. Quantum Break. This game is an Xbox exclusive third-person action adventure game that appears to have an engaging story and interesting game mechanics based around the manipulation of time. And to boot, this will feature an in-game TV show that at certain points, referred to as junction points, will feature a live action story based on the antagonist that will differ dependent on choices made in game. Think, what if Alan Wake, Infamous and Heroes the TV show all crashed into one another, and you'll probably have a pretty good idea of what this game will be. 11. The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian is thought to be a spiritual successor to Shadows of the Colossus. This supposedly PlayStation 3 exclusive is quite probably the epitome of a game going through development hell. this game has been shown off at press conferences and talked about for what must be a decade. 1 minute development is on, then it appears cancelled, then on again, then off again, with long silent periods in between. But finally it looks like we might actually get a finished game come 2016. Whether or not a game envisioned nearly 10 years ago and loosely based off a PS2 game that has been talked about for way longer than it should have without a release date in sight can live up to the hype and still feel modern, who knows. But I'm hopeful that all this strife wasn't in vain. So, that was part 1 of my top 20 most anticipated games of 2016. I'll probably release part 2 in a week from now, so stay tuned for that. If you're watching this after the fact, there will be a link on screen or in the description so you can check it out. Anywho, never mind what I think, what are the games you're most excited for in 2016? Post in the comments. So, this just leaves me to say if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.